总台 CGTN 提问，我的问题想提给商务部的王部长。我们注意到，您不久前率团参加了世贸组织第13届部长级会议，请您介绍一下这次会议的主要成果以及它的影响。那接下来在推动世贸组织改革以及维护多边贸易体制方面，中国还会有哪些考虑？谢谢。
CGTN, my question goes to Minister Wang. We noticed that you led the delegation to the 13th Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization. Could you give us an update on the conference, including its main outcomes? What we're trying to do going forward to promote WTO reform and safeguard the multilateral trading system?
谢谢你对世贸组织工作的关注。
Thank you for your interest in the work of the WTO.
MC13 也就是世贸组织第13
I'd like to brief you on MC13.
基本情况。2月26日至
From
3
February
月2日，
26th
世界
to
贸易组
March
织第
the
13届
2nd,
部长会议在阿联酋
MC13 was held in Abu Dhabi, the
率
UAE.
团参加
I
了。
led a delegation
经
to the
过成
conference.
员各方密集而艰苦的磋商，
After the
会议达成
intensive and arduous consultations by all members, the conference reached practical outcomes of 1 plus 10. The 1 means the Abu Dhabi Ministerial Declaration. This is really hard one because there used to be
宣言。
a
10呢是包括投
presidential
资便利
statement.
化协定、争端解决
But this year we had an
决定、
ministerial declaration. The 10 include the agreement on investment facilitation for development, the ministerial decision on dispute settlement reform,
提
and
振
the
了
work
国际社会
program
对
on
多边贸
e-commerce.
易体制的信心。这里呢，我想选
Many
取
members say this is another
作为简单的
major victory for multilateralism and has boosted international confidence in the multilateral trading system. Here I will focus on a
它
few
的意义在
highlights.
于用3个
As for the agreement on the
可以干。
investment facilitation for development I just mentioned, the significance of its formal conclusion can be summed up in 3 firsts. It is the
第一个
world's
以发展为
first
核心的
multilateral investment agreement. It's the first agreement with development at its core, and the first negotiation on investment rules led by developing
国家，这是第一
members.
次由发展中国家引领。
And the negotiation used to be led, designed by developed countries. So this time things are different, and China has played
目前已
a
有
major leading
127
role.
个成员加入，
At
超过
present,
世贸组织
127 members have become parties to the agreement, or more than 3/4 of the WTO members, and the figure is still growing. After its entry into force and implementation, this agreement will help enhance global investment liberalization and facilitation, improve the international investment environment, and will better respond to the strong aspirations of developing members to attract foreign investment and grow their economies.
这也是世贸组织
In addition,
成立以来达成的
MC13
首个
successfully brought into force the outcomes of negotiations on service domestic regulation. This is the first multilateral service trade agreement reached since the WTO came into being. There are 72 signatories to the agreement, covering more than 90% of global services business. According to the estimates of international institutions, the entry into force of this agreement will help reduce the costs of global services trade by $127 billion every year. For another example, the dispute settlement mechanism is known as the crown jewel of the WTO, but due to the obstruction of certain country, the appellate body has been paralyzed for years, and the dispute settlement mechanism is struggling. MC13 adopted the ministerial decision on dispute settlement reform, and all parties agreed to work for the resumption of the normal operation of this mechanism within this year. There are 146 members to the WTO, and they differ greatly in their stages of development and interests. Negotiation is difficult, and every outcome is hard won. And my delegation worked around the clock. And will engage in negotiations one by one or for some time at the same time. A good example is that MC13 was originally scheduled to end on February 29th, but it was postponed several times at the last moment, and the negotiations were only concluded in the early morning of March the 2nd, and many agreements were finalized within 2 or 3 hours before the conference ended. China has always attached great importance to the work of the WTO. General Secretary Xi Jinping, when presiding over the 8th Group Study Session of the Political Bureau of the CPC Super Committee last year, stressed that the WTO is an important pillar of multilateralism and an important stage for global economic governance. It is important to fully participate in WTO reform and the adjustment of international trade rules. During MC13, the Chinese delegation fully followed through on the guiding principle of General Secretary Xi's important statement, demonstrated China's responsibility as a responsible major country, actively promoted talks, cooperation, and success. This is another vivid example of China's practice of genuine, of true multilateralism and its efforts to implement China's 3 global initiatives. On the future work of the WTO, I wish to say we should have full confidence that we will succeed if we stick it out, and we should also be patient in taking gradual steps. It is difficult to have consensus because there are many members to WTO, and as a core member of the WTO and the largest developing country, China will work with all parties to implement the outcomes and the consensus reached at MC13 and safeguard the legitimate rights and interests of developing members. China will continue to fully and deeply participate in the reform of the WTO and work for the normal operation of the dispute settlement mechanism within this year. We will speed up negotiation on e-commerce, fisheries, subsidies, and in particular work hard to reach the world's first high-standard digital trade rules as soon as possible. It is very important that we will continue to unequivocally oppose unilateralism and protectionism. We will stand with all parties against any attempt to politicize, weaponize, or impose security implications on economic and trade issues, and work for an open world economy and a community with a shared future for mankind. Thank you.